Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are ready to rock and roll, to kickstart the proceedings. First of all, I would like to say good evening to everybody. It's already that time of the night. And I would start off immediately to introduce our guests and welcome everybody to the proceedings. If I don't mention your name, it doesn't mean that you're not important. I'll start off as we would normally do to observe protocol. We have our MEC in the building, Ms. Mayatula Koza. She's the MEC for Infrastructural Development. She was the MEC for Social Development when the alleged trial of the century was conducted. And she is part of the ANC Women's League and also the Progressive Women's Movement of South Africa. And she brought her executive team with her. And immediately to my left is Mrs. June Steenkamp, the wife of Mr. Barry Steenkamp and the late River's mother. Next to her left, is Ms. Jackie Mufokeng. Most of you would have seen her. She was the lady next to Mrs. Steenkamp's side all the time, supporting her, helping her through her ordeal, through the trial and tribulations. And to Ms. Jackie Mufokeng's left is Ms. Tanya Kun, who's the family legal representative down in PE, who's been traveling with Ms. Steenkamp to make sure that everything goes according to the book. And then I would like to extend our thanks to Dr. Bauer for allowing us to have this nice venue in the library. Thank you for hosting us in the library. And then normally from our faculty, she normally doesn't want me to mention her name, but I'll have to do it. Ms. Lara Engelbrecht, she's doing wonders in the faculty on the media side. Thank you for your assistance, support in driving this event. And then Mr. Herman Esterhuizen, who is the media manager for the University of Johannesburg. And I don't see him because he likes to hide. He doesn't want his name to be mentioned. And to all the students, I hope this will be a learning curve to you guys and you guys can take some valuable lessons from what is going to be shared tonight here in this event. And as we lawyers are, we like to go straight for the kill. Guys, I know the media will have questions, but let the questions be fair. And as we all know, currently the trial of Mr. Oscar Pistorius, who was the accused in the late River Steenkamp's matter, is currently pending in our Supreme Court of Appeal. So don't ask Ms. Steenkamp to give or answer questions on topics because she was told not to speak to the media about certain events. It's not that she's shying away from your questions. She really wants to share her experiences as a mother, what went through her head every day, from day 1 to day 52. I think that's why I counted, maybe it was more. So guys, so bear with her. She's a mother, she lost her daughter. It's not that she's shying away from your questions. If you ask the questions, there's a nice and wonderful book that she wrote. If I may show it, some of you most probably saw the book at the door. If you're interested, the guys from Exclusive Book is there. And tonight's proceedings will be primarily based on the book. If you didn't read the book, go buy it quickly and scan. Maybe you can get a question in. I think everybody is happy. And once again, I would like to thank the media for taking this time out of their busy schedules because they have lots of things to do to come and actually listen to our strong women of our community. And then I would immediately go over to Mrs. June Steenkamp to tell us more about why we're here. I know why we're here, but she can also just, and so that you guys can see the mother of the late River in action.
I'd just like to explain to you why I wrote this book. I wrote this book in memory of my beautiful daughter that I lost. She died a horrible death, and it has been very, very hard to live with it. But this book is for her memory. Oh, okay. This book is in her memory, so that people will remember how beautiful inside and out she was, and how she was always nurturing other people, and how when Anine Boyson was murdered, this has turned her head to what was going on in this society today. And it's all over the world, and something has to be done about it. And this book, Reva left, is my legacy. I will take over from what I'm not saying that I will do as good a job as she did. She was brilliant. She studied as an attorney. She was the most amazing person, a gentle, loving, always laughing person. And I want people to know about her, so that when we start our work, this is our platform. She's left me a legacy, trying to save abused women from the way she was killed. We can save one person and we can change the world. If you see something that is not right, let's not just walk away and say, isn't that a terrible thing? Let's do something. Even if you can help your neighbor or your friend or anyone who's in trouble, don't walk away and just say, well, that is terrible. And the other thing is that the foundation will be able to, once it's established, help hundreds and hundreds of women who are in trouble, and children. They almost always come with children, because children are in the midst of the horror of abuse. You know, they're always sitting there waiting for their father to come home, and he's walking in and he's giving abuse, and they go and hide, or they have to listen to the shouting and all those things. And you know, we have to do something about this. It's taken over the whole world, not just in South Africa. So this is why I'm saying to you this. I have taken up from Reva the baton, and I'm running with that baton now, and I'm going to do everything in my power as long as I'm alive, and God has given me grace. So I think I have about 10 years left in my life to do my good work. So if I don't pop my clogs, then I'll be onto it again. So that is the reason that we're here today, not for any other reason, but this book and the Rebecca Steenkamp Foundation Against the Abuse of Women and Children. And that's going to be my vocation in life. Try my best. If I can save one person, I will be happy. But all you people here today, if you can do something to help somebody, try and do it. Try and do it. Don't walk away and say, oh, what a terrible thing this is. It's taking over the world. We have to do. We at home have got a happy home, somewhere which is our space, that we are safe. But thousands of people don't have that. And it's time that we do something about it. So this is my message for you today. Watch your daughters and your sons. Teach your sons to be kind to their wives and their children. Teach your daughters to have the confidence to come forward and tell you if something is wrong. Who are they going out with? Check who they're going out with. Who are they involved with? I knew nothing of Oscar's guns and his way of life, and he's in the fast lane. And Reva and I were close like sisters, not just mother and daughters. And she said they were fighting all the time, but it's very strange to be fighting in a 3-month relationship. You know, love makes you blind, but in this case it wasn't working the way it does normally. But she said they were fighting, but she didn't tell me. You don't tell your mother everything. But just be in that position with your daughters and your sons to teach them the right way to be with other people. And then I'd just like to thank everybody from the ANC, how they've helped me through this whole thing, to Jackie, who was there for me every day in the court and giving me love, emotional support, and everything. I couldn't have done this without her, and without Tanya, and Advocate De Bruyn and his wife. They were there most times in the court with me. And the ANC, all they've done for me, they helped me. I didn't have money for the transport, and they helped me with all the things. They cared for me, they looked after me. When I needed anything, they were there for me. And I'd just like to thank the whole team for what they've done for me, because they were really, really fantastic people. I've never met people so loving and giving, and thank you. We're gonna have now the question. Give Jackie a chance. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll swiftly move over. If you have a question for Ms. Steenkamp, write it down. Some of the students who can't remember, the older people who can't remember, write it down. We young ones, we still remember, we keep it in the mind. But just phrase your questions properly, I warn you. Over to Ms. Jackie Mufukeng.
Okay. Thank you very much. I would like to thank the UJ staff, doctor, and the team for allowing the Progressive Women's Movement of South Africa, together with the Women's League, to invite you once more to say thank you. I think the main thing was for her to come back to Gauteng to say, Gauteng people, you've been very lovely. The support you gave, there are so many things that we can write about, even in court, about how people will come with books, notes, and all that. Even during difficult times, that sometimes you find that she can't even speak, but you'll find somebody that will come around to say, hi guys, and we want to thank you for that. There've been a very good support, emotional support that was actually something that was needed at the time. We'd like to thank the Department of Social Development, their team that was on site, the psychologist, all of us benefited from there. There are many things that we never had an opportunity to share with people that were happening in courts, that some of our children or something like this, if it should happen, that we should have learned from that. Because if we can fail our children is if we don't follow on things that are happening in courts. But also thanking people like Garinel, who gave us an opportunity when things were not going right to say, you cannot allow June to see some of the visuals. I never thought that will be something that will make an impact in her life, because I had to make sure that I fight for her. And I remember that some people were saying that I'm insensitive, but I was sensitive to her because you cannot see the blood and the brain of your child on the screen that you never saw before. And for him to be actually a sensitive person in the way he conducted the whole thing. People never noticed that when June was bowing her head, it was when something was happening in the court. And those were some of the things that we shared. But the lovely people, the team, and I have confidence in you, June, that you are going to do the best into the foundation, because in the middle of the trial, there was a trial next door of the Kumalos of a young girl who was killed by a boyfriend in Pretoria East. And we were checking on the two cases, and they met as women talking about all their experiences. But what they also did, when I sent a gentleman whose daughter was killed at the university in PE, the two ladies and their team made sure that they actually were there for 2 weeks with the gentleman, and the guy was convicted, having traveled all the way from Soshanguve to go and kill the girl at the university. I really want to thank you for what you did for the gentleman and their family. And I'm saying that for all of us, let us look at what is happening in our families. Let us talk about things that are happening, because people want to hide behind, the name and the surname. Abuse doesn't have a status. It's happening to black and whites. And people, they will never understand that in my life, I never knew that in this color, there's nothing, but there were so many white people for the first time that were saying we are not supposed to be in the public, but at the same time dying. But I want to thank June and the family for coming out when it was difficult, and thank you very much.
Just before we move on, Mrs. June Steenkamp mentioned that she's in the process of starting up the Riva Rebecca Steenkamp Foundation. So I would just like to give Ms. Tanya Kun just an opportunity to just lighten you guys up and tell you guys where to open your wallets for the foundation. That would be nice. R1 will make a difference.
Hello, good evening everybody. As Alton mentioned, the Riva Rebecca Steenkamp Foundation will be established within the next couple of weeks. We have had a huge response from people both nationally and internationally wanting to give funds to the foundation. However, we first want to do everything in the legal and proper manner, and only once it's been established will we report to the media, and we will advise everybody that is interested in donating, and we will open the official bank account. At that time, we will inform everybody. So at this point in time, we just want you to know about it, and we want to appeal to you to help in whatever way you can at the appropriate time. It's going to be a haven for abused women and children. June and I have been investigating and attending and visiting various safe havens and houses. We've been in the UK and we've been here in the local in Port Elizabeth as well, and we will be going to New Zealand as well next in a week or two's time. And when we come back, we will know exactly which forum we're going to do it in. And this is all to, as June said, to keep Reva's memory alive. That is what Reva wanted to do. That is why she wanted to build a public figure so that she can help women and children from abusive situations. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity that June is using. She could have sat back, cried, hidden from the public, from the media, because you know, the media is not always very kind and friendly, no offense. But she's going to do something good with this horrible situation that has happened. I'd also like to tell you that when one is in court, it's not always easy to follow what the judge is saying or what the witnesses are saying. So I want to tell you something about June. When we were in court, if you can't follow and it's very hot, the air conditions weren't always working, so one tends to actually get a bit sleepy. And on one such occasion, I bumped June and she said to me, "Why are you bumping me?" I said, "I think you're dozing off." And June looked at me and said, "All right, won't you just slap me awake?" And I thought, if I had to slap June awake, the police were all there, they would actually arrest me on the spot. And June took out her little notebook, and I noticed that she was writing something, and I tried to keep my pose, and as I looked down, I saw June writing, "I must stay awake." And she wrote it again and again, and when I looked down again, I noticed that she was writing, "I must stay away." So that was what was actually going on in June's mind at that moment. Thank you so much for everybody, to everybody for being here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
It's with you.
Guys, and now comes the nice part. You guys will be allowed to ask questions. We'll do the rounds, we'll do 5 questions at a time, and then
Something with this book.
there's already hands. Damn, you fast. Guys, but as I said earlier, just remember that this matter is still pending in our Supreme Court of Appeal. For those of you who don't know, it sits in Bloemfontein. They're still dealing with the matter, so let your questions be surrounding the book. We want to make sure that the media get as much as possible so that they can also satisfy their bosses. And guys, just also think of the woman's feelings when you ask your questions. Don't be insensitive about it.
Thank you. Okay.
Guys, I can even speak actually loud also. So we'll do 1 round of questions, the mics will go, you'll give your questions, and Ms. Steenkamp will then come and answer all your questions once at a go. So number 1 is there, number 2 is there, I've seen number 3 there.
Don't be answer. I'm going to ask all questions at a go.
June, thank you for your time. My question is firstly about the artwork that Reva did, that you included in the book.
Yeah.
Why did you think that was important? And a follow-on to that is, can you give us a little more detail of why you chose to keep such sort of fastidious notes during the court proceedings? What did that mean to you in your notebook?
It's a good idea to stay awake when something really important is going on in your life.
They said you will answer after all the things.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, just write it.
Just note the question.
The artwork. The artwork. Why did you keep the artwork? and then all the notes about the river artwork.
Thank you for this opportunity, June. First, I must say that I think you're a very strong woman, and I think you speak for the masses. What I'd like to know is, well, first thing, I'm yet to buy a book, so I don't know if what I'm going to ask is on the book. But first, I wanted to know, how have you been keeping up since the court case? And to want to find out if in the book you mention something about the SA justice system. Do you think it's fair? Do you have confidence in the justice system?
You can answer that one.
Better if they ask one question and I answer it. Yes,
Um,
and I want to go one after the other after the other.
That's another one. I think it's
Okay. Good day, good people. My name is Ernest.
Thank you.
And my question would be very brief, actually. Did Riva communicate with you the night before she got shot? Because I actually read something on News 24, which indicates that, which seeks to suggest that you somehow knew that they were going to break up that night. So was there any communique that she sent to you prior that event?
No, it's fine. So I understand. I want to answer that one. Let's just answer the first one.
Yes.
The artwork. About the artwork.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Not used to this. The artwork. The artwork. The lady with the artwork. Who's that? Yes. The artwork was something that Riva painted when she was 14 or 15 years old. And we had that in our kitchen because your children give you artwork and you keep it there. But we never really knew what it was about. But it was actually a premonition of her death. On the one side was the man with the gun, and on the other side was Riva. On the other picture was Riva, and she had the steps going up to heaven, and she had wings on, and she was holding her mouth like that because the man was pointing the gun at her and obviously was going to shoot her. And the third painting was of her in the toilet in a fetal position where she was shot. And only when this happened and we looked at those artwork did we realize this was a premonition that she had, that she painted. It makes you go cold if you look at it now because it's so realistic of what actually happened. So that answers your question. Okay.
The second one is about the justice system, but I don't.
No, that's fine. The justice system I have put to one side, and I have confidence. You have to believe in the justice system. They decide what is going to happen to that person, what they've done. So that is all I would like to say on that point. I've got confidence in the justice system, and it's got nothing to do with me. There's nothing that I can do about it. But we have to believe in what we've got. And that's the way I see it now. Even with the appeal coming, that's got nothing to do with me. It's not going to bring my daughter back. So I'm not going to say that I don't want him to suffer in any way. He's a disabled person, and I've got no revenge towards him whatsoever because I am not a person who wants another person to suffer, no matter what they've done, even though it's been heartbreaking for me. And that's all I want to say about that. And the other gentleman over there was?
The other gentleman's
Yeah.
question, did you write it down?
No. Okay. No, sorry. It was about communicating with Riva on the evening she was arriving. Yes. With a little mini at his place. Yeah.
The night before.
The night before, yes. The night before the actual thing happened. She spoke to me. She said she's on her way to Oscar. They're going to celebrate Valentine's. And that's all. Nothing else. But she didn't discuss anything else with me until I got the news that she had died, which was very hard. But anyway, I've answered your question now.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, is there more questions there? I see a hand there far corner, the lady with the green on the table just behind.
Thank you.
Guys, and when you ask the question, just speak a little bit louder into the mic so that everybody can hear your question.
Yes.
At the end.
Hi, my name is Noma Temba. My question is that
Speak into the mic.
Now I've missed that question.
my name is Noma Temba, and my question is that as a mother, the loss of a child is hard enough without the presence of media. So, what went through your mind as you grieved while having the media's attention focused on you?
I can honestly say to you that I've had no time to grieve whatsoever, because every day is a new thing on my doorstep. And the media, I think I was very hard on them, because I had to have this coping mechanism going on inside me, because I didn't want people to see me. I felt vulnerable in that court. And to have to sit there and suffer in front of people, it's almost like you're under a microscope. So I didn't communicate with them at all. And eventually they were very good to me. They got the message, and I don't have any complaints about that. But that's why I was maybe a little offhand with them sometimes, or because I didn't want somebody to intrude on what I was listening to. I tried to concentrate on what was happening at that time in the court.
Can we get the next question? Is there no more questions for Mrs. Steenkamp?
Tell them about our experience of the bed. When we were in court and we were so devastated, we don't know what to say, and then the bed comes and
The what?
the white pigeon.
Hi, my name
no.
is Lesoho. I wanted to ask, did you use this writing opportunity as a way of coping with the death of your daughter, or
Yes.
as a diary, something like that?
Yes, I think it is good to write your experiences down, and it's been a stepping stone to do what I'm going to do now. And I think people can read what Riva was about and remember her. And it's incorporating a lot of different emotions, and it wasn't hard to write things down. Maybe when I read it after some of the things, then I would cry or get upset if somebody, particularly for the prayer that I read today earlier on. Those are the kind of things that upset me, that God gave her to me. She was something really special. She was a special, special person. And then I get upset sometimes that I can't grieve. I'm never going to get over this. It's not a matter of putting her pictures away and carrying on with your life. I'm going to be living a life in her memory. And that's all I can say.
Next end is here, the gentleman with the red shirt.
Hi June, thanks
Hi.
for coming. I'm Timothy. I've heard you use the word God in your
Yes.
conversation, so you sound like a religious person. I'm interested, how has this affected your relationship with God?
Initially, I was very cross with him. I blamed him. Why didn't he come and save her? But on reflection and thinking about the whole thing and her injuries, she could never have lived after those injuries. And it was too late for God to save her. But I know that she would have been behind that door, and she would have been confident that God would come and save her, because she was a really, really strong Christian. She did her own baptism. She stood up at 8 years old, and she had that strong belief all through her life, her short life. And I believe that she was waiting for God to save her. And in the beginning, I blamed God, which I think a lot of people who are grieving, they do. Why? My daughter. Why take my daughter, who was good? She never did anything wrong. She was a perfect, perfect child and a wonderful person. And you do tend to blame God. But you can actually think about it carefully and weigh up everything, and you can realize that she was too badly injured to be saved. And I know that a lot of people who've been hurt, especially rapists, getting hold of Alison, who should never ever have been alive. And when Alison was on that table, she was disemboweled and she was cut from one ear to the other. God interfered there. He did definitely interfere. He saved her so she could speak and tell the people what had happened to her. She was raped, and her bowels were hanging on the pavement where she was laying. She should never ever have lived, but she did. And I actually thought of that when I was thinking that God has taken her, and that's where she is. At least she's safe now, away from danger. And she must have had the most horrible, horrible death, painful. And that I used to have nightmares about that. That was a bad thing for me, and for Barry, for my husband, because we couldn't save her. Her whole life we kept her close to us and saved her from a lot of ordeals. But this time we went there, we couldn't do anything.
I hope that was more than the answer that you expected, sir. Is there a next question for Mrs. Steenkamp? I see the lady raised her hand here by the front table, the lady with the black dress. Or is it, yeah, it looks like a black dress there.
Hi, my name is Zizipo. I don't know if this is appropriate, but I read somewhere that you and your husband want to meet Oscar. So I just want to find out, is it for closure? Are you hoping he's going to say something that he didn't say in the media, or what? Thank you.
I would at one stage like to speak to him, but it was only to be telling him something, not asking him something. I would say to him, do you realize what you've done to my husband and I, what you've taken away from us, our beautiful daughter, who we adored. She adored us. We were very, very close. And do you realize that you took her life? We will never have a grandchild. She will never have a wedding. She will never have that wedding dress. And her career that she worked so hard. She was going to go to amazing places and be something really, really wonderful. She was going to help this country with the abuse situation. She was much cleverer than me. I'm going to try and do my best to do what I can. I'll do my best. It won't be as good as Reva. She was more intelligent than me. When she was 12 years old, she became my mother and I was her daughter.
Question, next question. Here, the lady here in front.
You're good. You are good. At the end of everything, thank Jennifer. We forgot about her.
Good evening.
I wrote.
I'd just like to ask, how has your husband been coping with the whole ordeal? And how are you guys doing as of this moment?
Well, for Barry, it was, we'd just been bankrupted and he lost his license for training the horses, the love of his life that he'd done for 40 years. And he sat on the balcony outside our home and smoked, and eventually he went chopping wood, but he was always drawn to the horses. And when this happened, he was destroyed, totally destroyed. But now we had some money came in and we built him stables on someone else's property and his own track, and he's got his license back and he's busy with his horses, and that's how he's surviving, because he's doing something he loves. But he's still very, very emotional about this. Our life will never change. The only thing that could change it is Reva walking in that door now. That's the only way it could change, no other way. But we're fine. We're survivors, obviously.
Thank you, Ms. Steenkamp. And you have a question there, sir. Can you lighten up the floor?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Lungile. I didn't get the part where you mentioned somewhere that you don't want Oscar to suffer. That's a part I don't really get. And my second question is that through everything, I believe with everyone going through difficult situations or moments, you have something that strengthens you as a person. What was your main source of strength? Yes, the ANC was there, the psychologists, maybe everyone was there, but then what was your main source of strength that kept you going throughout this whole trial? Thank you.
Sir, I just want you to clarify, because you said there was something that you said that she doesn't want Oscar to suffer. You don't get. Is it that you don't understand why she's saying she doesn't want him to suffer?
No, is she saying that she doesn't want Oscar maybe to be jailed, or is she saying, she's forgiven Oscar for what she's done, but then the law may, take its course? What does she imply by saying she doesn't want Oscar to suffer?
Because I'm not the kind of person who needs to revenge another person. I don't want him to suffer. I'm not that kind of person, even though what he's done. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he shouldn't go to jail because he's killed my daughter, and he must pay for that. He must be isolated. That's what I'm saying. And I understand it's hard, especially for a man because most men don't have those sentiments. But I'm just saying that I understand the way you feel. He's disabled, and I wouldn't like him to be punished mercilessly. I wouldn't like that. That is not me. That is not me, and it's not my husband either. But he has to do the time. He must do the time in jail.
And your source of strength?
I can only say that God has given me strength, grace to carry on. Open doors for me so that I can carry on with what I'm doing. And my friends, Jennifer Stradham sat with me the whole time, along with Jackie. Tanya is my strength. The family of Tanya, Clive and Cindy and their children, who sustained me when I used to come to the court, and we would go stay with them, and friends, loving people who cared about me, the ANC, the Women's League, even the ladies who had to walk to court every morning after they fed their children and sent their little grandchildren off to school or whatever, older ladies in the Women's League. You remember them, Jackie? Yes, sat there every day, walked miles. Some of them sometimes fell asleep because they had to go home and cook and do what maybe the one member of the family, their daughters or whatever, passed away. So you have to think. Riva always said, if you open your mouth to criticize someone, close it and think before you speak. What has been their journey? You've got no right to judge anyone else. You can only be judged by God. You can't judge people yourself. Walk in their shoes and see what they've had to do in the morning before they get anywhere. That answers your question.
Hi, June.
Hi.
I firstly want to say I really admire your strength to be able to move on from this. It's really something that we can look up to. I wanted to ask, have you forgiven Oscar, and what would forgiveness mean? If you have forgiven him, what does forgiveness mean in terms of that? Or have you just simply accepted?
No, I've forgiven him because I have to. From God, I have to forgive. If I don't forgive, am I going to carry bitterness inside me and not be able to move on? A lot of people who lose their children, they don't let go. They don't let go. They try and keep those people in jail who've committed the crime, and it burns them up, and they get sick. I have a friend, her son was shot, and she's never got over it, but she carries that almost revenge and try and keep them in jail. And she got cancer after that. But it's carrying all that inside you. You've got to forgive to get past that. And then, like I'm going to do, I hope that I'm going to do something good to help others. And this helps me a lot to have a mission now in life.
Yeah, good. She's good.
June, it's Tim again. So let's talk about why you said we were here. And I would pause without giving them the microphone. I want to hear your answer first. So how do you plan to help women going through abuse? What's the plan?
The plan is the foundation, the Rebecca Steenkamp Foundation Against Abuse for Women. I'm going to build shelters I'm going around to other shelters to see how they're coping with this and how they go about it.
Okay.
And how it's a difficult thing to approach. It's not something you can just decide, I'm going to do this. You have to go into the whole thing and see what is the best approach.
Okay. I was asking that particularly because I have spoken with people and I realized that we have different views, psychologies, ideas about the realities of life. Case study. Beautiful girl who says she cannot believe her husband loves her if he does not hit her. True life story. How would you help this lady? I'm really interested.
It's a patriarchal society.
One must just listen to what the person has to say, and you can't interfere at that stage. If she's accepting the abuse, then she's not in trouble. She's just going with a feeling. She's maybe desperate, I don't know, for this man. It seems to be a condition some women have. They don't want to leave because they can't leave. They think they're being loved even though they're being beaten when they get home at night or they come home from work. And then the abuse is, but a lot of it's behind closed doors. They don't normally speak about it. But if she needed help, she could phone. And you have people who know how to handle, like the lifeline that we have now, to talk to her. And if she believes that that's acceptable, there's nothing you can do about that.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Because I'll just allow another 3 questions and then we will kill it. So,
in a
the session, I mean.
society. We're in a patriarchal society. That's why that's a question. That guy was asking about the patriarchal thing. It's a patriarchal society.
This goes to the ANC Women's League, all right? Why this case? There are a whole lot of cases where people are being killed, women and children are being killed every day in South Africa, all right? Why this case? Why did you find the Oscar Pistorius' case so important? Is it the only case you're focusing on? Are there other cases that you also following? Does this mean anything for the ANC? I mean, is it some way in which you say you're saving the people, or is it some way you're setting an example as women? And is it only for women? What about men in South Africa? We're having an example today. We woke up with the news of a hip hop artist that was killed. What about the males in South Africa that are being killed? Are you also doing something about it as well? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think we expected that question. The Women's League, maybe if you would have remembered a number of cases, the advantage of the Women's League is that we are in every ward, in every branch. You'll see that when you go to Sidibeng, there's a case of the dry clean 6. Remember the people that were killed in a dry clean, the women in that. That case was actually a case that was not there. The Women's League is there. You go to West Rand to find a list of cases, women are there. We work according to the regions. And what happened is that we've been doing this for a very long time. If you can remember the case of Rasuche, I was the one who was led was leading that behind because I was sent by the ANC Women's League the same way. And we actually got that case moving until it was 8 years, and we persisted until the body was found after 8 years. The Happy Zindani case was led by the Women's League until to the end. The Centurion 15 serial killer that killed actually about 15 women were behind that. We've been in a number of cases of people that sometimes some of them don't want to be in the space. In Tshwane, in the very same time during the case of River, there was a case of Kumalo. We were in the court. The principle of the Women's League is that we should not go and help and be in the space in the media. We go there quietly. When we went to the court at the beginning of the trial, actually of the bail, we never knew Mrs. Steenkamp. We actually condemned what happened, and we're in court without her. And after that, we realized that there's nobody from the family, and we traced them, and we asked, what is the problem? And our colleagues in PE said, we were with the family at the funeral, but if you think that you'll carry them as they come through, communicate, and we did that. The other thing, the stereotypes that are there, is that the Women's League cannot help a white woman. The Women's League work across color, and we have so many others that doesn't want to be seen, but we help them. And we don't have a lot of money, but things that will happen like Kim. Kim is the cousin to River. She got money on an interview. Instead of taking that money to the foundation, she started by saying, I'm plowing back to the Progressive Women's Movement and the Women's League so that they can be able to help others. And we really appreciate that. Men that are actually in trouble are many. We also condemn that women that will also go and take the protection orders on weekend when they want to go somewhere. We find you as a Women's League member. We deal with you because you are abusing the system. It's a fact. Women sometimes are abusing the system. You want to go away, you get a protection order. Then, at the same time, you find a gentleman that is talking here about a woman that doesn't want to come out because this person is hiding behind something. Patriarchy is something that we must talk about. We are in a patriarchal society, and it's for us to change the way we bring up our girl child and our boy child. You cannot look at the girl and forget the boy. You can even think of what happened about the case in Alexander of a musician. You ask yourself, what was happening in the mind of that young woman? Not understanding that there's life after everything. If this boy goes out today with another one and leaves you, there's something for you somewhere. And people must understand that God is never stupid. If he closes the door for you, he opens the other one. And I'm thinking that in the passage where we shared with June about a number of things about a river, she saw her way. There are so many things that people will never know and understood about the WhatsApp. She couldn't go out of that house at that night, but the WhatsApp says a lot. And the 3 months relationship is a honeymoon, but that was hell. And it was saying a lot about that. And I'm saying to the young people that are here, don't hide behind your status, behind the surname or whatever. And some of the movies that we see today, that is on Mobango, that is a reality, a professor sleeping with a girl, but sleeping with many others. But you don't want to talk about it, you think you are a beautiful girl. Life is not about beauty, it's about making things better for yourself.
We have, this is the last question here.
Afternoon, everyone. Okay. I would like to thank June for coming and sharing her experience with us. It is very courageous of me. Okay. I just want to ask about the artwork. Like, did you ask her about the artwork when she was growing up, or you only realized or interpreted it after the tragic incident?
After, yes. We didn't realize what it was about until this happened. We never your children give you paintings at every age and you keep them. And we didn't really realize what that was about.
Okay.
We're out in time.
No, 5 minutes still.
There's another girl.
How did you feel about like the case being on television and being open to the public? And how did you feel when you saw a picture of Reva's blood being displayed in court? Thank you.
Tried to avoid that by all costs, but it's difficult. But like Jackie said, we had an understanding with Gerinel that he gave us a signal when something really bad was coming on, and I would just put my head down. I could not face those disgusting pictures. Even by accident, I saw one of Oscar just after the event, and I will remember that picture until the day I die. It will never go away. He was covered in Reva's blood. He was standing there. He looked like a mad person. And I saw that picture. I will never forget that image. It's going to be with me for the rest of my life.
Okay, last question for the night. Then we're closing the session. So thank you, everyone.
This one goes to Ms. Mufokeng. I think it's a good thing that you help women who are going through this kind of situations. But I must also add that that seems to me like it's in effect reaction towards cases. What preventative measures do you have in place to ensure that such cases do not happen?
Okay. Lucky enough, I'm a member of parliament. I'm a member of the provincial legislature with my colleague MEC there. In Gauteng is the first province to have what we call Ikaya Letemba. It's just here in Braamfontein. If a woman is abused, we know that you cannot be taken to, usually they will take you into the cells because they can't take you anywhere. And you find that you go to the secondary rape. You are raped by police at some stage. So there you've got a medical leave girl, you've got the teddy bear, you've got all people that are interested, and you even have vets, legal team that is there to prepare you when to go to court. And we are saying the very same model must be going to the regions, because at police stations, you find police officers that are not trained to deal with issues of abuse. Or you find a policeman who's an abuser himself, and then to deal with you. How are they going to deal with you? Or you find a woman police officer who is abused or is in a patriarchal society, in a patriarchal or whatever marriage that is actually not there. Because some of the people, and especially Africans, we have this thing of allowing, harmful practices and think that is correct. We cannot. The Women's League, if you have to come to me or you phone MEC Nandima Yatula, will never turn you back. Even if at the police station, they'll tell you that you cannot come in. You've got the Progressive Women's Movement of South Africa that was established by the Women's League, because it's not every woman who wants to be in politics. I'm leading that organization in Gauteng, and I was deployed by the Women's League. I've got doctors, I've got nurses, I've got professors, and they are all in sectors. If you have to come there being a student, we'll give you a role if you see there's something in the university, and we'll want to work with you. And I can tell you now, we appreciate the partnership that we are starting with the library unit and the doctor and the team that is here, that will be here many times with programs and departments so that you can be empowered, because there are challenges there. Some of you can't even talk about what is happening in your families. We want to help you to do that. It's not only the police station that will help you if you are scared to go there. There are channels and ways that we can do that, and you are welcome to phone us.
But guys, I want to thank Ms. June Steenkamp for the opportunity of sharing her personal feelings and views that she had over the 2-year period, for Ms. Jackie Mufokeng for the support she gave to the Steenkamp family, for the ANC Women's League, the Progressive Women's Movement of South Africa, the support they gave to the family, and also Ms. Tanya Koen, Duke de Bruin, who's now in absentia today, for their support that they gave, but also for your interest that you showed in what the women, the strong women I call them, of our country is trying to achieve, is trying to work towards. And I want to leave the males, the men in this building with a message. The moment you realize that you're going to hit your girlfriend, your fiancé, your wife, that's the moment that you have to pack, if you don't have a bag, a black plastic bag with your clothes and you leave the house, you go find a new home for you. Leave your wife and children in the house. Don't hit women. Don't fight with women. And that is the thing that I want to leave you guys with, because men are hunters. We can hunt, we can find ourselves a new den. Females are nurturers. They have to nurture our next generation. So give them the time, space and opportunity to bring the next leaders up. And I want to thank you guys for coming out tonight here. I want to again extend my thanks to Dr. Bauer for allowing us to use this venue. I want to thank the media houses for giving Ms. Steenkamp and her foundation the platform to actually promote violence against women and those type of things. I want to thank Ms. Lara Schmidt, or as I know her, Ms. Lara Engelbrecht. She got married. And also Ms. Modise here, who's always just trying to hide herself for the running around behind the scenes. And our esteemed guests, and even for the MEC, for taking over her time and coming here. I would really like to thank you guys, and if I look at it, I can see our women is again going to do like they did, I think, in the 1950s when they walked to the Union buildings, showing that they are strong. And I thank you all for that. Thank you.
Before we leave, ladies and gentlemen, before we leave,
The University of Johannesburg. Rethink, reinvent.